Hello! In this session, we will be discussing the section after we import it from Rhino. It's not only Rhino, you can use this method to edit any section that you import to Illustrator, either from Rhino, Photoshop, AutoCAD, Revit, or any file that's DWG or PDF. It's exactly the same method. First of all, I'm going to show you how to import a DWG file. So you simply go to Open and you open the section file. It would ask you to specify the scale. Either keep it original scale to fit artboard, which means that it's going to stretch it to fit the artboard, or you can specify an exact scale. Here, when you are going to specify the scale, 1 to 100, 1 to 200, or 500, or whatever, you need to remember that you have to remember which original document is using. So if the original document was drawn in millimeter, then you have to keep it in millimeter. If I wanted 1 to 200, I'm just going to put scale 200 here. I'm not going to scale the line weight, I'm going to center the artboard. One thing I should always keep in mind that I check is this option here. You don't want to merge the layers. You want to have all of the layers on your document. If I click OK, the artwork would be imported and I'll be able to zoom in and out by pressing the Alt button on my keyboard and just using the roller on the mouse. Now, if I zoom in, I would see that this section is actually very messy, it's not clean, and it needs lots of tidying up to do. That's why you're going to use as a reference the JPEG file from the Rhino. When I am trying to do that, I'm going to show you how the layers are organized in Illustrator. So this window here is called the layers. You can access it by simply clicking on this button, or by going to window and clicking on layers. Every few elements or lines are actually on one layer. You can hide them and show them simply by clicking on the layer here in the eye. If you click on the key, that means you cannot select them because now they are locked. You can unlock them by clicking again on the key and release it. If I want to select everything that's on one layer, all of the lines that are on one layer, I simply click on this circle here. Now if I zoom in, you will see that it selected everything on that layer. So in case I want to change the colors of the lines on this layer, I simply go here and I select a different color. If I want to change the line thickness, I simply go here and I do that. If I want to undo what I've done, I simply click undo. If I want to merge two layers together, for example, I have this layer for these, and if I want to know what layer these lines are on, I simply click on the lines, the white lines, for example, and I will be able to find their layer. I can rename it by double clicking on the layer name and call it, for example, wildfire. If I click on the circle, it will select all of the wireframes I have in here, and I will be able to change the color to something else instead of white, so I'll be able to see them. There are more wireframes in this area. I'm going to select, and then I will be able to identify their layers, and I will click on that layer circle, so it will select everything in there, and then I'll be able to change the color from white to yellow by pressing on this square outline. Now, if I want to merge these two and I want to put them on the same layer, I simply click on the circle on one of them, so it's selected for me, and then I drag it from here. I drag the whole layer from this, not the whole layer, sorry, this simple square. I just drag it and I drop it where I have the others. So now all of the yellow ones are together. If I want to select based on the color, and I want to select everything that's in green despite its layer, I simply double click on the magic wand here. If I double click on it, it will show this window. And I'll ask it to select everything with the same stroke color, and the tolerance is 0. That means I want everything that is exactly colored this shade of green. If I click on it, you will notice that it selected everything that has this color. And if I check the layer window, I would notice that it highlighted two squares in two different layers. That means these two squares has elements colored in the same color. So what I do to join them together, I simply drag this square and I release it on the other one, and then I will call it land. If I hide this one, you will be able to see that it actually hid everything together. Doing this, I'm going to do later organize the whole section. However, there's always ways to make it easier for us to do that. What I'm going to do now is I'm going first to show you a simple way of creating color for the section to be able to see all of the cut lines, like here. So we need to know what are the cut lines to clean them out. For example, for this simple shape. Starting with this, there's definitely some line hidden here, which is normal. Sometimes we don't get the clean lines, so we have to change them. What I'm going to do is I'm first going to select everything on this layer. So simply by clicking on that, I'll be able to identify its layer. Then I click on the circle. Now it selects everything within that layer, and I'll change its color to any dark color. Now I'm going to hide everything on the land. I'm not going to delete it, just hide it by clicking on the eye. I want to identify also all of the other ones that are supposed to be on the land. So if I click on this line, it's going to highlight this layer because this is the square and this is the land layer. So I'm simply going to drag and drop it there. If there are any lines that I don't need, I simply need to delete them. So I'm clicking on them and deleting them manually by pressing on the delete button. Same for this and this. Sorry. This one and this one. For this one, I want it also to go on the land, and because the land is hidden, it's going to hide everything I drag on it. So what I'm going to show you now is how I can make the color for the fill.